Hi everyone. So I don't know about you, but there's a lot of Muslim converts popping out of the woodworks on YouTube. There's a whole lot of them. Some of them haven't even been Muslim very long, and they're already out there preaching, criticizing the former religion, criticizing the former believers, even attacking those that left the religion, despite the fact that they themselves also left the religion behind and converted, right? You have one such fellow by the name of Bobby.
You didn't build a family, you're left with nothing. You run to a dead-end job, you come back home alone eating pizza and swiping on your Tinder app, trying to find a meaning in life. This is what your freedom brought you to.
And he's an Islamic convert, has been Muslim, I think, less than a year now, according to what I read. And he has a video of an ex-Muslim girl that was approached by evangelists in the UK, Christian evangelists, and he did a response on this video. It's a very short video. He added an 18-minute response, and I'm going to go through his response to the ex-Muslim's view, where the ex-Muslim and the Christian evangelists were talking about Islam and how bad it is. And then he jumped in and said why they're wrong. I'm going to go through what he said and tell you why I think he got it all wrong. So Bobby doesn't seem to be very smart, but he has a lot of strong opinions on stuff. Let's take a look and see what he has to say. Alright, I'm your friendly ex-Muslim. And here today I have Bobby for you. So the first thing about his video is, first of all, the thumbnail. The thumbnail is hilarious. It says Islam is a mental illness, and then he has the word 100. It sounds like he's actually agreeing that Islam is a mental illness. I don't even say that myself, but she says that in the video, something to that effect. Anyways, let's see what he has to say.
Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Bobby. Guys, today we're gonna watch how an ex-Muslim girl completely exposes Islam. Yes, I'm absolutely sure she will. Just by her little YouTube video today, she will dismantle 1400 years of Islam and end it today, of course. Guys, before we jump into the video, do me the favor, if you enjoy my work over here, leave me a thumbs up, subscribe.
So, first of all, I'm going to apologize in advance because he talks over them a lot. He doesn't pause the video, he just starts talking while they're talking. It's a little bit hard to understand. Second of all, his whole... This has been around for 1400 years. This is an appeal to tradition fallacy. Just because something's been around for a long time doesn't mean it's true. Heck, Bobby, you yourself claim to come from a religion which is false. Christianity. It's been around a lot longer than Islam, right? Yet you're claiming that one's false, 2,000 years. So what does Bobby think? He's going to dismantle 2,000 years of Christianity with his little YouTube videos? Like, come on. Like, right away, this is not an argument. But as you're going to see, there's a whole lot of fallacies going to happen.
Now, with no further ado, let's have a look.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes. You're looking pretty. That's what attracted us to you. Let me give you some more compliments.
I'm trying to know, like, what you believe in, what makes you believe in what you believe, and why are you doing what you do.
Actually, for me, I don't have any religious, or I'm agnostic because I was before Muslim. Wow. Yeah, I've been Muslim for a long time.
That dangerous religion.
The thing that made me leave my religion is that there is a lot of humiliating principles in Islam. As a woman, I can't believe in these things. Honestly, like,
what's
I'm not
humiliating?
trying to be racist or Islamophobia. Actually, but
Try to be yourself.
yeah, I'm just saying, like,
Try to be yourself.
no one is in his fully mental health would believe in that, because this is insulting for humanity, honestly. Like, in Quran, in Sunnah, they saying that it's okay to beat women.
Like I said, I apologize in advance because he keeps speaking over her and he keeps making these ho 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 noises and this like sarcasm. Is so annoying. Anyways, let's see what he actually has to say once he finishes acting all righteous about this.
It's okay to take her freedom and all these things.
It's always the same arguments. It's okay to beat a woman. Yeah, show me a passage in the Quran where it clearly states it's absolutely okay to just beat women. Yeah, go out and beat women, beat your woman at home. It is absolutely fine. This is what the Quran states. This is of course an absolute lie, but moreover, the reading.
Actually, it's not an absolute lie. It actually says that right there in the Quran in 434 that if you, you feel in the shoes, right, you can do several things, including leading up to beating them. So he's creating a false, this or that fallacy again, where he's saying, oh, you have to either, the Quran says you should just beat women whenever you want and however you want and for no reason. Well, there is a reason needed, but the reason is as trivial as you fear rebellion from them. So it's not a lie, it's true. There's a whole history of, wife abuse being, perpetrated by Muslim men against women because the Quran allows it.
The important aspect here is that she says it's okay to beat women, take away their freedom. And this is, of course, a liberal standpoint. This is filmed in the UK, a liberal country, and therefore those ideas get infused into your head and you...
Of course, we would all love the idea of not being beaten by our husbands. I don't know what you think, what country you think people want this to be the case. This is not just a liberal value that's been put in your head. This is a pretty universal value. Don't beat people for no reason, right? You don't have to be liberal to believe that you shouldn't be beaten up.
Conflate them with freedom. What is freedom truly? Nowadays, freedom is, according to liberals, to get an abortion, for example, or to have multiple sex partners, to wear what you want, no matter how many aspects of your body are exposed. That is all your freedom. They do not understand that all of those freedoms, quote unquote, are short-term gratifications. They feel good in the moment and later on you're gonna regret them. For example, as a woman in your 20s, you have casual sex with multiple partners. You do that throughout your 30s. In your 30s now you're childless and you're frustrated. You didn't build a family. You're left with nothing. You run to a dead-end job. You come back home alone, eating pizza and swiping on your Tinder app, trying to find a meaning in life. This is what your freedom brought you to. Short-term gratification will never bring you anywhere. You come home from work, now you can sit down on the couch, watch some movies and eat hamburgers. That feels good in the moment. In the long run, you might get a heart attack. In the long run, you're not accomplishing anything. So get your butt up and go to the gym. Oh, that doesn't feel good. Oh, how oppressive. I just want to sit on the couch. You would never say that to this example because you would see the value within that example. However, in the West, they told you that it is not valuable to be a woman that guards her chastity, a woman that dresses modestly, a woman that aspires to be a mother and a wife. All of those things, through feminism, have been displayed as something negative. Fight the patriarchy. And you fell for it. And because you believe that those liberal standards are true now, this is why you automatically, of course, believe that Islam is evil, bad, and oppressive. You do not see the value anymore, but guess what? In a few years' time, you will. And it's going to be you that is depressed.
So yet again, he's doing this false dilemma where he's picking one or the other. He's trying to say this one extreme view, which is, have to have lots of casual sex and not have a family and do this and do that. He's trying to say this is what the alternative is to being Muslim. So I wanted to share this post on Facebook, which I thought was actually quite telling, by Madeline. Here's what it's actually like as a woman in the West. We don't sleep with hundreds of men. Most of us prefer having long-term boyfriends and then settling down with ones we really like around 30, 35. We just don't have the same stigma of being disgusting if you aren't a virgin. So no one cares if you went out with Mark or David for a year and then dated John for a bit before meeting your husband. Casual sex is still pretty frowned upon if you're doing it more than a few times and indiscreetly. It would, however, be considered funny, pathetic, or backwards to expect your girlfriend to be a virgin around 21. Most women don't wear hot pants and bras. What you're seeing is pictures of students at bars and at bars and nightclubs where that's more acceptable. Normal day attire here is jeans and a shirt or leggings and a hoodie. Most women are not teen single moms with prisoner baby daddies. That's entirely a meme. I know 2 to 5 women who had children in my generation. I'm 27 and only one of them is single. Also, it's extremely common to remarry here and to adopt and raise stepchildren. Don't base your understanding of the world on a tiny minority of people right at the bottom of the social system. Number 4, we absolutely would be shamed and abused if you wore. Number 2, in public. We'd also be asked to go home and change if we wore things like that to work. You've just watched too much Andrew Tate content. Number 5, women over here are expected to finish school and work. Women are actually more likely to finish education and to gain employment. Very good point. You're expected to have a job, earn your own money. It's extremely unusual unless you're incredibly generationally wealthy and spoiled not to. We all pay our own rent and taxes and buy our food. A man providing everything is extremely frowned upon. So we're not the sugar babies you think we are. Last point, the whole designer bags, drugs, diamonds, fast car thing is a low-class criminal culture. It would be extremely frowned upon me to date a drug dealer criminal and wear all brand Gucci and drive a Mercedes. I get laughed at. I'd go so far as to say that even having a sports car is a bit embarrassing and is seen as showing off. Extreme wealth signaling is considered cheap. So there you go. She explained it so beautifully. This is like a perfect comeback to this guy. Right, and what he's saying, the nonsense he's saying, and like how he's mischaracterizing the West, and he's creating a straw man. This is what they do. These Islamists, they create this like imaginary opponent. Oh, the liberal West where everyone's feminist and feminazi, and they don't want to have kids and whatever. Like, this is not the norm. This is not what most people in the West are doing, right? And so the other thing too is that he's saying that they focus on the career and they have a dead-end job. Well, if they focus on their career and they didn't have kids, they'd probably be having a highly satisfying job, right? Just think about it. Like, if they're like not bothering with kids, then they'd probably be doing good at the job, right? The other thing too is that like the whole thing about Tinder and whatever, like finding a spouse, you have to go through the same challenge, whether you like delay having kids or don't delay having kids. That point is so dumb. Even Muslims use things like Muzmatch and whatever, Muslima.com or whatever, these different Islamic dating websites or matrimonial websites. The fact is that everyone has to go through the same process of finding a partner, and nowadays it's mostly online, right? And there's 2 things to mention here. As a parent, first of all, there's nothing wrong with not having kids or delaying kids, right? Like, that's a perfectly good option if that's what you want to do. Like, he shouldn't be shaming women. It's always women, always shaming women for doing that, right? Or delaying having kids. And me as a parent, I would say the same thing. Raising kids is hard. I tell my own male kids, never mind females, my own sons, that don't settle down and have kids, at least like until you've lived some of your life. Don't, at that young age, your prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed. You're still trying to learn and figure out life. Financially, you might not be that stable. Having kids is expensive, and there's a lot of sacrifice needed having kids, right? So I have, I've raised 5 kids myself. So I can tell you from experience that I don't know if Bobby has kids, like what he's, all this bashing is doing about, these people don't want to have kids. Well, raising kids is hard. It's a commitment, and it's something that you should only do if you're willing to go through with it, to stick to it, and to go through all the way and, take care of the kids and invest in them and spend time with them and all that, right? There's a very real risk of having kids with the wrong person. And then you have to suffer your whole life, right? Having this potential bad influence in their lives, right? Because you really need to make sure. So it's even worse having kids with the wrong person than just not having kids, right? You want to have. And it's wrong to assume that this is the only way to be fulfilled, right? There's many ways to be fulfilled in life. You're not going to be a cat lady, right? Like as my girlfriend said, she'd rather be a cat lady than go with Ali Dawa. Ali Dawa is always making these jokes about cat ladies. Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure, pretty much every woman out there would rather be a cat lady than go with Ali Dawa. So yeah, just take that. Take the L, Ali Dawa. And the other thing too that's kind of funny is he's talking about dead-end job. Does Bobby even have a job? Does he even have a career? Does he even have any job satisfaction despite whatever he's doing in life, being an Islamic man, whatever he thinks he is, right? And as Madeline was saying, more women complete college than men. We're talking about education, right? Like, you have more women doing this than men. So again, he got it wrong, right? His analogy about eating hamburgers and not going to the gym. Well, women are actually working hard and doing well in life, and this is a guide even better than men. So I don't know what he's saying. And just one quick point about what she said about mental health, you know, no one in the right mental health. I wouldn't use such strong language like that about people that are Muslim. I don't think that's like a good way to put it. It's not like a mental health thing. Obviously, we evolved to be religious. It's something that we culturally, it's a very strong meme as well. So it's not like obviously you're not mentally ill if you follow religion. I disagree with her on that framing, but I disagree with Bobby on everything he said so far. Obviously, it's just terrible what he's saying.
Like,
she's still young.
This what
I don't know if you heard that, what he said. She's still young. Just remember that. We're going to get back to this, what he said.
This is what I believe.
Yeah,
that's why I don't believe.
But you know, the Muslim, you know, because I actually reach out to Muslim because we love people. They deny this. They say, oh, women get a lot of rights, and many Western women even become Muslims.
They don't want to admit that there's a lot of wrong things in Islam. But if you read,
define wrong.
The
Explain many wrong things. Of course, you cannot explain it. I wouldn't expect anything here from a 20-year-old woman. However,
Whoa, 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 whoa. Slow down there, Bobby. On one hand, you'd be happy to marry this 20-year-old woman, right? You'd be happy to do that. Well, how old are you? How old is this guy? 40, 45? He'd gladly marry her. But at the same time, he's saying, I wouldn't expect anything. That's the second time he said she's young. She's a young woman. I wouldn't expect anything from a 20-year-old woman. Notice how he assumes things about people and how he's just like the misogyny. It's just like, what is she just stupid because she's young? Is because she's a woman? She's a young woman? Like, what is that, right? And then he's saying define wrong. Define wrong. Of course she can define wrong. She just told you what she considers wrong. Beating women. She gave an example of that, and she's going to give other examples as well. But it's clear that she actually does have a definition of wrong, even though you don't think she does. She does. It's based on like harm and benefit. It's based on do unto others as you would want done unto yourself, right? Like, would you want so-and-so, your mother, your sister to be beaten? No. So then don't do that either. That's wrong. That's a simple definition that we can all agree upon. You don't have to overcomplicate things.
Think about. She said she's agnostic, she's an atheist, what have you. She doesn't adhere to a religion, but she's going to tell you what is right and wrong. Based upon what? That is the true question here, and no atheist, agnostic can reflect upon that, because she's just a girl. I know that. I'm not really talking to her, I'm talking to my audience over here. If we take her point.
That's the third time now he's just dehumanizing her and acting like she has no intelligence, no point. And why are you even doing the response like for your audience, not for her? Like, come on, like this is pathetic, right? This is the third time he's treating her as less than a human being.
And she really would firmly stand in her agnostic view. She would have to admit that she's standing upon nothing. An agnostic says, I do not know. So if your fundament of your moral worldview is, I do not know, then you obviously cannot tell me what is right and wrong.
I'm pretty sure that she's agnostic about believing in God, not about her ethical or moral values. As usual, he's mixing things up. He's putting morality and belief in God, and he's just jumbling it all together. I'm pretty sure she's not agnostic about morality. She's not a moral nihilist or whatever, relativist. She's likely going by what she instinctively feels is right and wrong. We all have that. It's been evolved into us, right? That's what she's considering right and wrong. And she's agnostic about something else, which is belief in God. Don't mix up the two things. You can be someone that believes in God and still is a moral relativist or whatever, or you could not believe in God and you can have, you know, objective moral values. It all depends on, those are two different things.
An atheist will tell you, I believe this is wrong. Based upon what? You don't believe in God, you do not.
Based on secular humanism. This tired old meme of atheists have no values, it's just exhausting. It's just tiring. It's like, how many times have we heard this? We obviously have values. Even monkeys have values, right? They have these instincts about right and wrong, about being cheated, right? About being treated fairly, about taking care of their children. All of these things we do, right? And then obviously there's some things that are evolved into us which are not good, which we fight against and we work against them, and we build a society to protect, like, for example, the weak and the disabled and whatever. But none of this has anything to do with atheism.
believe in universal truths, in moral guidelines, in rights and wrongs. You believe in relativism. So if everything is relative, your opinion is relative. But the agnostic is even worse, because the agnostic says, I'm not taking a position, I'm a fan-sitter over here, and I do not know, could be. So if you tell me it could be, then I tell you how it will be. There is right and there is wrong.
Yeah, sure. That's what you're claiming. Just because you believe there's an absolute right and wrong doesn't make it so. It doesn't mean anyone else will even agree with you or even accept your value. And even among Islamic beliefs, there are differences between the time of Muhammad and now. For example, taking temporary wives, muta, that was considered halal. And then according to Sunnis, it's now considered forbidden. But according to Shias, it's still allowed. That's an example. He's even going to bring up another example, which is he's going to say later on that slavery is forbidden today. With no evidence, he's going to say this. According to his own objective moral values, slavery was okay, now it's not okay. So obviously the situation has changed, the values have changed, the laws have changed. So what are you saying, dude? Moral relativism just means that something that's okay, like for example, someone might say, oh, it's okay to beat your wife in these countries because that's the culture. That's moral relativism. Like, that's not what all atheists believe, right? I don't believe that, right? I believe in secular humanism and right and wrong, and based on human thriving, I would decide, or I would determine this is good or bad, right? It's all about consequences. What consequences does it lead to? If it leads to good consequences for humanity and for conscious beings in general, then it's a good thing. Otherwise, it's a bad thing. And it's not always clear what's good and what's bad, but we do the best we can. We definitely don't go by a 1400-year-old book that even from your own religious scholars, the laws are changing. So like, what is that? What's the point of that? It's so useless.
Your opinion is wrong.
The real Sunnah, and if you open the Quran, the real Quran, yeah, you're gonna see all of this written there. It's like, it's Islam. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna say what I believe in. The people who apply Islam, like the real Islam, it's ISIS. These people, these crazy people are applying it.
She totally debunked Islam now. So ISIS, that is predominantly killing Muslims, those are the real Muslims. This is real Islam. Listen to me, I'm going to tell you what I believe now.
So obviously, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I don't agree with that take either. And that's okay, she's allowed to have that take. But at the same time, Bobby didn't say much, but if he's going to say ISIS are not Muslim at all, because they kill Muslims, well, a lot of Muslims kill Muslims. Even the Sahabas killed Muslims, right? Like they had the wars where they fought each other, right? So after Muhammad died, I mean. So like, if you look and see, there are clearly issues with ISIS. According to other Muslims, they're like extreme or whatever. But you can't say they're not Muslim either. They are Muslim. I don't think they're the true Muslims. There's no such thing as true Muslims or true Islam. Every single interpretation is subjective and is equally true to some extent based on how you want to take it, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's obviously, you can't say like Pokemon religion is Islam or something, right? Like, that doesn't even make sense. But these actual manifestations of Islam do have a reference back to the original sources. So yeah, ISIS is one example. It is one example of Islam. And so she does have a point that it is one example, maybe not, I wouldn't say true example, but it is one example for sure.
Because Muhammad, he had sex slaves, he promoted,
like 11 wives.
Yeah, and also it says in the Quran that,
who's counting?
I think it's a Quran that, you can
Did he just say who's counting?
Possess sex slaves in your right hand, so you can have unlimited sex slaves. And some Muslim scholars, they don't even deny this.
Yeah, because they don't want to admit.
The sheikhs have spoken. Yes, this is what everybody agrees with. This is absolutely ridiculous, of course. Concubinage, sex slaves, quote unquote, are not even allowed in Islam any longer. This is what most scholars will agree with. The majority of Islam agrees that there is no concubinage at all anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on there, buddy. Where did you get that from? Where on earth did he come up with this? Quran clearly says that this is allowed. Those with thy hands possess, right? This is part of Islam. And who are you to get rid of it? I mean, you could get rid of it if you wanted to, but who are the scholars who say it's forbidden? Who are the scholars that say clearly it's still a part of Islam, right? I mean, we can just look at another website, right? And just Islam QA is one example. It's a Salafi website. And as you can read right there, that according to Sheikh al-Shankiti, it's basically allowed. That's how you get prisoners of war. I mean, that's the way it goes, right? And you just have to make sure that those who are bought or sold are actually slaves. Just make sure they're actually slaves. And that's what this website says. I'm not going to waste my time giving you more proof because he didn't give you any proof. He didn't give any proof whatsoever to say that slavery is forbidden today. Concubinage is forbidden. Jonathan Brown wrote a book about this. I love Jonathan Brown. And in his book on slavery, he says this is one of the biggest problems for Muslims. So Mr. Bobby there says that it's not allowed, right? But I'm going to quote from Jonathan Brown's book, right? ISIS's reasoning on slavery cut deep because it was so clean. ISIS claimed to be the caliphate reborn, re-establishing the Sharia according to the book of God and the way of his messenger. The Quran had allowed slavery. The Prophet Muhammad had slaves, and this had been allowed by the Sharia, so why shouldn't ISIS do this? Okay, that's one example, right? As Kisia Ali wrote, ISIS laid bare the untenable nature of Muslims burying their heads in the sand and refusing to come to terms with slavery and Islam. We cannot pretend it's not part of a religion. It's present in the Quran we read every day in prayer, but neither can we deny a visceral certainty that slavery is repugnant. It was not until they encountered European abolitionism in the mid-19th century that they considered eliminating Riq, slavery, as an institution. Since then, Muslim scholars and intellectuals have developed a range of arguments, some mirroring Christian abolitionists, for justifying ending a practice that God and his Prophet had allowed. One feeble claim was that Islam had never actually allowed slavery, while a second stronger one argued that banning slavery outright would have been impossible in the Prophet's day, so God set Muslims on the path to do so gradually. A third line of reasoning, which I find the most convincing, was that Sharia, the ideal of God's law in Islam, had always aimed at maximizing emancipation. So again, this is not forbidden, right? And now we're going to get even worse. Still, others defend it as a practice Muslim states might legitimately choose to do, or might legitimately choose to suspend, but that could be brought back into operation in the future, right? Okay. The one aspect of Riq, slavery, that is completely irreconcilable with the regnant morals of today's global West is the right of male slave owners to have sex with their female slaves, a right clearly stated in the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet. So here we have Jonathan Brown admitting that Islam did allow it, the Prophet did allow it, obviously ISIS did it. This was a part of the religion, and it wasn't until Islam clashed with European abolitionism, meaning the Europeans, they came with their values and they pushed the Muslims to give up on slavery, right? And so, you could argue that Islam always wanted to free slaves, but why is it that it didn't happen until, the Europeans came? Why weren't Muslims stopping slavery on their own? That would be my question. Regardless, the point is, it's really bad and really troubling that this is part of the religion, but it is part of the religion.
The religion, that's what I think. They don't want to admit that their religion is completely crazy, honestly. I was Muslim since 18 years of my life. Since I born, I am Muslim, and I lived Islam. Once I got an adult, I lived that. Because
what do you live now? You don't even know what you're living now.
Interested in letting us know that Jesus Christ came to give us freedom. Because the enemy came to deceive us, why Jesus came to give us freedom. And they want to do everything possible to stop the truth from people knowing the truth.
Yeah.
So the ending of his video now turns into a kind of rant against Christianity and how she misunderstands Christianity and how it's not about this. And then He even goes on a rant about homosexuality. The funny thing is, he even beeps out the homo of homosexuality. So it's like beep sexuality. It's like, what? Talked about like slavery and other things in the video, but he doesn't want to mention the word homosexuality. It's so weird. It's like it's a curse word or something. One more thing I wanted to mention was Bobby said earlier that the majority of Muslims or the majority of scholars agree. But since when was Islam about majority, right? Scholars are always changing their minds. They're not on one mind, and they don't always stick to that one opinion. So you can't just, that's not even an argument, right? That, oh, these majority of people say it's not allowed. Well, it's still allowed according to others, right? And the last point about, you know, these evangelists, how they come in like vultures when you leave the religion, and they want to grab you and pull you into theirs, right? They're just like waiting to pounce on ex-Muslims. Ex-Muslims have this experience that when you leave Islam, you got these like, you know, these people waiting to get you on the side, right? It's just like, oh, like, you know, anyways, that's it. That's all I have regarding Bobby and his clear, you know, straw man. All right, so that's all I have. All right, so that's all I have about Bobby and how he strawmanned the entire West. Try to make it sound like we're just one big orgy or something, and we don't have any values, and, you know, all these women are going to be cat ladies, not having any husbands, and just being miserable, not having a job, like painting the worst possible image, you know, swiping on Tinder or whatever, like as if they don't have to use apps too nowadays. Like everyone's using apps to find people. So that was it. That was the end of it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked my video, do consider joining my Patreon to support me. Thank you to all my patrons for your continued support. Happy New Year. The first video of 2024. It's been a pleasure. I hope your 2023 went as well as mine. This is your friendly ex-Muslim, Abdullah Samir, signing out.